Hi everyone, it's Jeannie from A1 Vacuum and Sewing. Sorry for shouting just then. I just realized I was shouting, so let me tone it down a little bit. I am getting ready to stitch out this absolutely adorable pillow, the Stay Cozy Bench Buddy, and this is a free design for the month of December after you've watched there's 3 demo videos on our site. And by all means, if you have a local quilt shop that's doing the same program, you can do it through them. It's always nice to support your local quilt shop. So I did 3 videos. You can find them on A1's YouTube page or our Facebook. And I think if you go on and you just type in Stay Cozy or Demo Day 1, Demo Day 2, and Demo Day 3, after you watch the demo, you can fill out a survey, and after you filled out all 3 surveys, I will send the design to you for the month of December. After that, you can purchase the design. You can purchase it through your local quilt shop. So let's go ahead and get started. If you purchased a kit, I had 2 different groups of kits. The first kit was cut like this, so I'm going to go ahead and get it out. And there's a little note in here. Okay, the little note says your diagonal fabric, that's going to be this one. And what you have in here, I think, is a fat eighth. Let's see, your fat eighth binding. Yes, so you got a fat eighth of this. And I don't know why there's a little bite out of mine. That's why this is the instructor kit. You will not have a little bite out of yours. So it says here that you need to cut it down, and you're going to cut it down to one piece that is 2.5 by 5 inches and two pieces. 2 pieces, that should say 2, that are 2.5 by 21 inches. You're going to be making your binding with that. However, if you got the newer kits, I smartened up and I just cut you one piece that was 2.5 by width of fabric, so you don't have to sew them together. Okay, and your fabric is all cut down. So if you got the newer, and you'll get a different note in yours. If you got the newer kits, then I left yours one long strip that's 2.5 by about 44 inches. And then this was cut down for you too, so 2.5 by 5. If not, we're going to do it right now, so don't worry. There is right here, it calls for the scarf, a piece of fabric that's 1 inch by 7 inches, and then you sew it down and you turn it into this little scarf right here. You're going to have ribbon in your kit instead, regardless of if you have a newer kit or the older kit. So here is your ribbon, and you have 3 different choices. You only need one, but I put all 3 of them in your kit for you. You're also, Michelle did one of her demos, and in her demo, she cut these down on the scan and cut. That's why my pieces are all cut. Yours, you're going to need to trim as we lay them down. This is a piece of topper that's going to go underneath the black of the stitching for the penguin. I'm going to put this in here so it doesn't get lost, but you'll have pieces that you're going to be trimming. Mine are cut because we did it on the scan and cut, and there's a video that shows you how to do that if you want to do that as well. Where else is that note? For the back, snowflake fabric has been substituted for the blush velveteen. That's all the kits, regardless of which one you have. So in the instructions, you're supposed to have velveteen. Velveteen can be very finicky. So what we included instead was snowflake fabric, and that's what you're going to be using for the back. So you have your 2 pieces that's substituted for the velveteen blush fabric. And then you're going to have 6.5 by 9 inch piece of shape flex that's been added, and that's for you to go ahead and add to your border pieces. Velveteen can be finicky and it shreds really easily. So if you're going to do this project, and if you didn't get a kit from us and you're going to cut your own velveteen, make sure you back it first. So you want to put some shape flex on the back of that, and that way when you go to sew it and stuff it, it is not going to shred and make a big old mess, which you do not want. So I'm going to go ahead and let me put this to the side. This is left over because this is my second time making the project. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and turn on your iron. If you have a newer kit, your velveteen is already stabilized. Do you see this? So what I did for these was I put Shape Flex on the whole piece of velveteen, and then I cut it down into the pieces that go into your kit. You're going to know because it's going to look white like this. It's not going to be pink. So you may have yours already stabilized. You're going to have two pieces that are going to be 1.5 by 6.5 and two pieces that are 1.5 by 8.5. If your velveteen is already stabilized, then just go ahead and just give us a minute so we can get this done for those people that it was pre-cut but not stabilized. But we did put the Shape Flex in your kit for you. That was not something that Kimberbell included in their instructions or their supply list, but it's something we always do in our shop because we did Peppermint Avenue. And we had some people just bust, including me, just bust right through their seam. So if you do have yours pre-cut, your these pre-cut and not stabilized, we're going to do that first. So you have, and if it's not perfectly 1 inch by 6.5 inches and 1 inch by 8.5 inches, don't worry about it because we are going to go ahead and trim it down right now. And you can cut to the, just cut to the Shape Flex, to your feasible woven, and don't worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and do it like this. And I'm going to, actually, I'm going to lay this down. So this is my Goddess pressing sheet. It's just a Teflon pressing sheet. I love this. I also had, there was another one that I have. I'm looking at it right now because it's hanging on my wall and I don't really use it. It's a lot thicker. I love this one because it does the job and it is thin. So I'm laying these down, right side down, wrong side up. And I'm going to put, whoops. I'm going to put this down on top of it. You should have plenty. I wanted to make this easy for you and accurate for you. So I'm putting this down and covering the whole thing. And now I'm going to go ahead and press. And I'm doing it this way because there's nothing under this Shape Flex right here. And I don't want it to get all over my wool mat. I find that Shape Flex with steam works the best. Or with a little bit of Best Press. And I'm staring at my Best Press over here. I'll cut these down and then I will give them one more press from the front side too. I feel like these are kind of sloped. Do you see that? Oh, I have already adhered them too well. I did too good a job. Okay, I'm going to trim these down now. And for those of you who have these already prepped, just hang tight. We'll be right with you. A lot of times I'll just start out and I will cut as per the instructions. And then we'll go, wait a minute, you know, it might have been a little bit easier a different way. So that's kind of what we figured out with these. So sorry about that. I'm just going to trim these down. These need to be 1.5 inches. I'm going to make sure these are nice and perfect. This one right here, 1.5 inches. And again, if your fabric doesn't go right to the edge, that's okay. You're going to have a 1/4 inch seam allowance that this is going to go into, and it's backed with Shape Flex, so you don't have to worry about the shredding. Make sure this looks right. 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. Nothing to trim there. Okay, those look good. These have to be 8.5 inches. I'm going to trim down one side and then we'll trim down the other. When I cut the other kits, We used our Creative Grids Stripology ruler, so everything is so nice and perfect in those. I'm like, do I turn the fabric or do I rotate my cutting mat? I decided to go with rotate. Okay, so that's pretty much exactly 8.5. So those are ready. These should be 6.5, and that's how wide my ruler is. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little cut with this. And then we will trim these down. Okay, there's my 6.5. Here's my other 6.5. I'm going to trim off this edge first. Make it gorge. Let's trim this one down and don't worry if it's not, if it doesn't go right to the edge, because again, that's going to get sewn into your seam. All right. So we are ready with these. These are going to be your stabilized strips, your 8.5, you should have 2 of them, 2 8.5 by 1.5 and 2 6.5 by 1.5. So we'll just go ahead and put those to the side. Next thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and prep this diagonal fabric, and this is what we're going to be using for your, we're going to use this for your binding strips. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down, and I need 2 of them. So I'm going to trim down 2 of these, and then I'm going to sew them together to make one long strip. Depending on the kit you got, you may not need to do this. This may already be done for you. After cutting a whole round of kits, we cut like 24 of them, we smartened up a little bit and went, hang on a minute. Do we really need to cut that in half? Didn't make any sense. Okay, so now we're going to cut this 2.5. And then you will use your favorite binding technique. Okay, there's 2.5. There's another 2.5. And then we're going to cut one more piece that's going to be 2.5 by 5.5. So we can just go this way. 2.5 by 5.5. Here is, let's just go up. Here's my 5.5 right there. Okay, and I need 2.5. Let's go 2.5. Two and a half by 5.5. Oh, actually, sorry about that. 2.5 by 5. So I'm going to have to, this is actually just for the applique. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm 1/2 inch bigger than I need to be, but better bigger than not big enough, right? All right. Other things you're going to need for this project is your thread. So these are the colors that it calls for. I'm going to be using a white pre-wound bobbin and a black pre-wound bobbin. There is some kind of like more delicate black stitching, so I'm going to swap out for that. I have my design on a USB. There's going to be some sewing, so I'm going to use my walking foot, and the 2 soles I'm going to use with it are going to be my regular zigzag, and then I'm going to use my 1/4 inch. The usual suspects. So I have my hoop tightener and my screwdriver for the shank on the machine. You're going to need some tape and then an array of scissors, a marking tool. All right. Iron is still hot. I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. Let's get our instructions. But you did have to do those two things. Keep in mind, we are not doing the background quilting on this. So here is what it looks like with the background quilting. And I know you can't see it in here, but there's quilting behind this. If you want to do the background quilting, you do need to cut your fabric a little bit bigger. So your kit has been kitted just to do the pillow, and it doesn't include the background quilting. But here are the instructions if you want to do the background quilting block by block. If I had the time, I would have blown this up and done the pillow again. I really like taking these pillows and making them as big as I can in the hoop. And in that case, I definitely would have done the background quilting because it's just cute. But as a little pillow, it's fine if you don't do the background quilting. So up to you. But in this video, I am going to be doing the project without doing the background quilting. So right here, you're going to remove the film. Remember, my pieces are already cut because that's one of the videos we did in our demo day. Let me stuff that back in here. So there are my mittens. And I'll go ahead and I think Michelle might have taken the plastic. She is our scan and cut queen. Yeah, and the film is already, the protective coating's already taken off of that. If you haven't done it, go ahead and remove the plastic film off of your glitter. Heat up your iron. We're going to put fusible backing on the wrong side of your background fabric, and that's going to be the polka dot fabric right here that everything's stitched on. So my iron is heated up. I'm just going to get this out of the way. Here's my gorgeous background fabric. I'm going to give it a little press just from the back. Make sure there's no dark threads on here because what you don't want is you don't want that to shadow through. Like if you had a red thread and then you ironed your fusible woven on, I would pull back the fusible woven and try and get it off of there. You should have a piece of Shape Flex, a square piece that you can kind of center to this. And when we're all done, this is going to get trimmed down with a pop ruler, 6.5 by 6.5. Again, if I'm doing Shape Flex, fusible woven, I like some moisture. I feel like it adheres better and faster. Did you hear that sizzle? That's because this project is so hot, like hot as in hot to trot. Or it's so cool because it has penguins and mittens on it. But that wouldn't explain the sizzle, would it? Okay, here we go. That is ready. Next step. So the instructions say on your right side of your fabric, you're going to use a water-soluble or heat-sensitive pen. I like the friction pens. They're my favorite. The other thing I use is chalk, but sometimes, I mean, if I was using a blue or pink, it might not come off as well. I'm going to go ahead and just fold this so there's a crease, and I'm going to hoop it that way. So I'm just going to fold this back and make a crease. And then I'm going to fold it this way and make another crease. And you can see those well enough, can't you? That way we're not having to deal with the pen. Somebody wrote me and they asked me what pen they should use and they were worried about it not coming off. I just, like I said, I use a friction, but I have had, sometimes when it's really cold in the shop, I turn off the heat and when you come in, and there's one project that I have that friction will come back to the surface. So what I do anytime that I'm using a friction pen is I take my iron and I steam it. I steam that friction pen down into the layers of your fabric, and then it really won't come back that much. But I've never really had, other than that, I really haven't had any problems with friction pens. I love them. All right. Next thing we're going to do, we are going to open up. Ooh, don't lose this. This is folded up in your stabilizer. This is your topping. You need this when we stitch on our Minky. It's our dissolve void topping. I'm going to put it in this little bag right here. It's either going to be in this bag with all your goodies, or it's going to be folded up with your stabilizer. So if you saw a little piece of what you thought was junk, get it. It is not junk. It is important. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lay this down on here. And the instructions tell you to tape it down. So tape the background fabric to the light mesh cutaway stabilizer. Hoop the stabilizer and fabric with the center mark in the center of the hoop. Oh, I forgot to grab my hoop. I should do that, shouldn't I? Let me go grab that next. So I'm going to grab some of this. My favorite tape. It's Transport. What I love about it is, did you see how that just ripped off so easily? But that's not what I wanted. I'm going to throw that away. It just rips easily. It doesn't shred. You're not fighting with it. I'm going to go ahead and put one piece of tape up here and one piece of tape right down here. Here's my 5x7 hoop. You're going to see you have markings. These are your center markings in your hoop. So they're right here, and then you have one on the top and the bottom. And again, always make sure you have your arrows up on the very top. So I'm going to pop this out, and I can put my top hoop on here. I can line this all up. And then sometimes I'll just kind of grab it and I'll fold it in and hold it there. You could also use double-sided basting tape, but I'm just going to hold it so everything is centered. I'm going to take it to my hoop and plop it in. Was it really that perfect? It was. And even if it wasn't totally perfect, we are going to trim this down. But you're going to see I just took this, pulled it in like this, picked it up, and pushed it down into my hoop, and I'm pretty lined up. Looks pretty darn good. You know, I have superpowers. One of them is losing things because I'm so good at it. And the second is hooping, which is better than losing things, right? So we'll just focus on the good stuff. All right, we are hooped and ready to go. Hoop this, and now we don't have to worry about those friction pens or marks that aren't going to disappear. We just used it with a little finger press. Let's load the design onto our machine, and we're going to get stitching. I'll meet you at the machine. I was just thinking how I didn't really tighten up my hoop, and I'll just go ahead and show you. I do use one of these. I just bought this on like Amazon, and I keep it plugged into one of my ports, and that way if anything goes wrong, it'll go wrong with this, and I can activate and deactivate the different 4 ports that go on here. So it's kind of nice, and I just leave it kind of hanging out here on the side. As far as my hooping goes, I did plop this in, and I will usually hand tighten, but mine's pretty snug already. And then I'll take my hoop tightening screwdriver, I'll hand tighten as much as that's comfortable for me, and I'll take my hoop tightener, and literally you're going to give it a quarter of a turn. If you're doing more than that, you're doing too much there. I had to wait for it to catch. That much. That's it. If you're doing it too much, you can break your hoop. I've had some ladies come in that have over tightened this and broken this. It's just a quarter of a turn, kind of just like that, and that should be enough. And you can test it if it's loose enough for you to undo by hand. That's too loose, but this is really tight. That's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and slide this on. Let's go ahead and pull up our design. Embroidery, pocket, USB, and you can see all this stuff I've been working on to stay cozy. PES Designs, and we'll go ahead and touch it and set it. That's there from before. I'm just going to get rid of that. Those images that you take a picture of stay there until you stitch out the design or you manually get rid of the design. If you even leave one stitch, that will still be there. So on the Luminaire and Solaris, it's really easy to get rid of. I can just go into here and I can just turn it off, on, off. Or if you're on other machines, you do have to go into your settings. Wait, let me go ahead and turn that back on. This is your mini lesson today. Or you can go into your settings button. Let me straighten this up. And let's see which page it is. Right here. You're going to go to where it says background image display, and I can go ahead and delete that background image. I'm going to hit delete it. And look, it's gone. And I can't even pull it back in again. So depending on your machine, Luminaire and Solaris, you can do it right from this button, right from your camera button. Other machines, you do have to go and delete it. I remember when the first time we used the camera in the store, it was me and Sandy, who I worked with, and we were like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And then we had no idea how to get rid of the picture. And we didn't understand that you had to stitch your design to completion. We've come a long way, ladies. All right. Says load the embroidery file. Oh, the other thing I like to do, and I think it's a really good habit, is I want you to choose your hoop size. This right here is the 9.5 by 14. You can see how much area you have to work with. I'm going to go back to my settings, and I'm going to choose 5 by 7. Come on. 5 by 7. And now you see how much workspace I have, and I could nudge it up or nudge it down, but I really want to just keep it centered. I'm going to hit embroidery, or I'm going to touch embroidery. I'm not hitting anything. And this is this screen from which we stitch out. It's 21 minutes. This is the number of stitches, and that's our number of thread changes. First thing it's going to do is it is going to stitch out the black little scrolly heart. And anytime it does something fine like this, I do like to put in a matching bobbin. So I'm going to take this white one out and put my black one in. I should have done that before, but I have so many thoughts in my head, ladies. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and slide that hoop back on. And I am going to put black in the top. This is the string of the mitten. Do you remember that? My mom used to knit all my mittens. And she used to put like she would connect them. I don't know if it was just a piece of yarn. And she would, put them into my coat so the mittens were hanging out either sleeve. And then you didn't lose them. I miss those days. And then we would always we'd go out and have double mittens because we'd go out and, it was before the days of all that synthetic stuff. So you had knit mittens. They'd get wet as you played. And my mom made all our mittens. So sometimes they'd be really big because they would be mittens made for my brother or for adults. There's your cute little heart. Now you're going to stitch the word stay. I'm going to do mine in teal. I'm doing it in the glide color that's called Tide Water. I am going to switch my bobbin thread out right now. So let's go ahead and just put a white bobbin back in. All right, you're going to stitch out the word stay. Whoops. Check and rethread. Oh, look at that. I never put any thread in my upper. Here we go. Let me go ahead and put this in. Okay, don't forget, my room is the gateway to the house and to the outside. And my kids love to come charging in. I need to go to the beginning of this. If it was a placement line or something like that, I wouldn't worry about it, but I want all of my stitches for stay. So you're going to hit this button right here that goes minus and plus. That goes forward, that goes back. I'm going to just tap this and it'll go back to the beginning of stay. If you go back too far, that's okay because you can see what's coming up. I'm just going to go forward and there's my stay. All right, let's go ahead and now that we're threaded, we're going to stitch that out. That is a minute of stitching, and the next color you're going to need is red. Okay, get your red thread ready. That's next. I'm going to put my red in. And while you're putting your red in, I want you to pick whichever color ribbon you're vibing on for the scarf. I grabbed green. I can't remember. I think I did turquoise for the store sample that's at the store. Okay, stitch out the word cozy. After that, it says stitch the scarf placement line. Anytime you see the box with the diagonals, that means color doesn't make a difference. But I put a note here to use the white, and I think that's because as you go to the next step, so here's this step, color doesn't make a difference. Color is going to make a difference in step number 6, so we might as well put it in now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put my white thread in next. And it's going to do a placement line for the ribbon. If you're using fabric, you need to stitch it down and make it nice and skinny. But then I thought it would be kind of, I don't know. I thought it would be thick and it wouldn't fold right. So I just thought the ribbon would be a better option. So there's your placement line. I know it's going to be hard to see because I did it in white. Grab your transport tape. You need 2 pieces of tape. I have tape right here. I like stick it to the end of my desk, my sewing table, and you want to find the center. So let me go ahead and do that first. So we're gonna, and I trimmed it for you like at a cute little angle too. Okay, center, center. And you want to put the tape outside of the stitch line. Oops, sorry. I think I'm pretty much there. And next step is it is going to stitch the scarf tack down. Do not remove the tape or trim. And if you don't totally catch it, that's okay. Oh, look at me. I was way off. I am going to remove this side over here just a little bit, and I'll move it up. I'll move it over. So I just don't want all that tape underneath the penguin. That's just a little itty bitty bit. Can't help myself. Had to get it. I was going to say I'm just going to leave it, but you know me. Okay, stitch the penguin placement line. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit start again. Now, before I go to lay down all my applique pieces, I am going to give them all a little shot of spray in my dime spray tent with my changeable cardboard. This one's getting pretty gross, huh? But, whoop, there goes my camera arm. I'm going to get those pieces out. I kind of like it like this because I can just take pieces and just stick them down. They stay there. So I'm going to grab my little mittens and face down so I can put some spray in. I'm going to spray them kind of liberally. Here are my little itty bitty cuffs. Here's my other mitten. Of course, it's got Mickey on it. And here is Mr. Penguin. Face down. And I'm just going to give those a shot of spray. I normally don't spray too much, but these I'm going to give a nice little shot of spray because I don't want them moving at all. And now those are ready to go. If you don't have these cut out, honestly, I never cut them because there's usually small little pieces and I just lay them down and trim them. But these are already cut out for me, so we are going to go ahead and use those. If it's a whole piece that I'm laying down, then I just go and I just give it a little bit of spray. And you know what we could do is I do have that piece of 2.5 by 5.5 that we cut. I can lay that down too, and I can show you how we would do the mittens if we're going to do them just like we normally would. In that case, just a little bit of spray, not much. You don't want to bog it down. I should have changed out my cardboard for you. I'm feeling like a dirty bird, but that's kind of how I just use it. All right, so it did the placement. I know it's hard to see, but there's a little outline there. I'm going to grab my penguin. I'm going to pull him forward so you can see this. And I'm going to lay him down right over that line. There we go. I don't know if you saw that, but he is laid down and he is looking good. Next thing it wants you to do, so stitch the penguin placement line. You are going to place the penguin Mickey right side up. You're going to place the wash away. I am going to put the wash away on here, even though I'm not going to be trimming it. You want that wash away because we're going to be stitching his little face and you don't want those stitches to get buried. So we're going to go ahead and put this down. And again, you want to put some tape on there. Was it this that I was doing where I got my finger caught? Maybe I'll just do this one this way, and then I won't trim the other stuff. Next thing it wants you to do is, and if you have your other piece, you're going to put that big whole piece of Minky down, and then you're going to lay this down on top of it. Now it says stitch the penguin tack down line. I don't need it because this is already here, but let's just pretend. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to stitch that tack down line. Of course, mine is going to go right around that because we've already, and you want to do this in white. We'll tack them down a little bit, huh? Because this is a little bit bigger. Now it says remove the tape from the penguin minky and the wash away topping. I'm sorry. Remove the tape. So now we've just done that. Stitch the penguin tack down. Remove the tape from the penguin minky and the wash away topping. Do not remove the topping. So we're just getting rid of the tape. So just the tape right here and the tape on the top. But we don't have to trim this. Trim the minky and the topping close to the stitch line. Be careful not to cut the scarf fabric. Here's our scarf fabric right here. You can see mine because mine's a lot smaller, right? We're going to trim around here, but we're not trimming on top of this. We're just going to trim around it. So if you have your minky and the topping, you're going to trim all of that away. Let me grab my scissors, my favorite. I brought home another pair because I deserve it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and trim just the topping and the minky. And you're watching out for that ribbon underneath. Don't accidentally cut that, or you're going to be scarfless. And, you know, since mine's already cut, I can just go ahead and just pull my topping away. But you want that topping to be on your minky so those stitches don't disappear. So that's what it should look like. It's nice when somebody just cuts all your applique pieces for you and you just need to pop them out of the bag for the project. All right, stitch the beak fill. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my favorite orange. Take out the white. This is step number 19, step 8 on your stitch out screen. And then you're going to place down your back embroidery topping and center it over the penguin minky. So let me get my little topping. There it is. And you can tape this down if you want, but we're going to put it over here. And since this is going to be a lot of block stitching for the penguin, I'm going to change my bobbin out to a block one again. This just saves you any heartache that you might get by having a little bit of white contrast showing through in the pin dots and where the needle goes down. I'm going to put in my black thread now. And just make sure he is centered. And what this does is this makes sure that you don't have any white showing through. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to go ahead and hit start, and it's going to stitch out the black of the penguin. And then once this is done, you'll tear away any excess black topping. Leave the wash away topping in place, meaning the wash away topping that is on top of the white minky. You're going to leave that in place. going to stitch his little eyes and a little bit on his beak. Okay, now we can go ahead and we're going to tear away any excess black topping. Leave the wash away topping in place. So again, we're not removing the topping that is over the minky. And a lot of times I find it's easiest to kind of drag this inward. But we're going to leave that topping, this crinkly topping that's on top of the bird. You're going to leave that. Oh my goodness, look how cute he is. And if you need a pair of tweezers, you can get a pair of tweezers. I might need some tweezers just to get these pieces right here, like this one. There we go. And then we're going to take the 2 pieces of ribbon and we're just going to pull them straight up to the top. So I'll just use this piece of tape again. I'm going to take these, put them up to the top, and tape them out of the way, because now we're going to be stitching down below the penguin. And while we're at it, while this is off, I'm going to change up my bobbin. I'm going to put a white bobbin back in. Oop. There's my white bobbin. Let's put our white thread back in on the top. And we're going to do the placement line for the mittens. In my notes, I wrote use white. So I wouldn't leave the black in there. Black is just too high contrast for everything. So I would put like a neutral color in. And since white's going to be probably the next color. Oh, I can't believe it let me do that with the hoop under there. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and hit start. That is the placement line for the mittens. My mittens are already sprayed and ready to lay down. You are going to grab your piece of glitter. But again, mine are already cut and ready to lay down, and they're already sprayed on the back. Let me scoot that forward a little bit. I'm going to lay this down over here. There is a little bit of extra. There we go. And I sprayed them pretty well. And then this one. I think there's a little bit of minky on here from being in that bag. All right, now stitch the mitten tack down. So if you have just a whole piece of glitter, you're going to have to do tack down and trim. I will let it just do the tack down, which may or may not catch some of it. And while it's doing that, I want you to heat up your iron. And I'm going to go ahead and just forego the rest of it because mine's just pushing it a little bit. So you're going to do your tack down and you're going to trim. And the directions say to trim the glitter close to the stitch line. Using a pressing cloth, press the glitter with a warm iron for 15 to 20 seconds. And you can see it caught it just a little bit here. But I'm just going to go ahead and press it. So let me take mine over to... And if you're watching this video, you can just pause it. When I do the cuffs, I'll just do the cuffs the traditional way, meaning I'm going to go ahead and do the placement line, the tack down, and the trim. I'm going to come over here. Let's take this. Here is my Goddess pressing sheet, which I love. Which I love so much I cut through it. But who cares? It still works. And I'm just going to give this a press, and it says to press it for 15 to 20 seconds. So I'm just waiting. There we go. My iron is heated up. If you don't have one of these irons, you need to get one. This is the Panasonic 360. It's small enough to fit into your 5x7 hoop. There we go. And that is nice and adhered down. I see a little bubbling here. If you see bubbling, that means it's not totally adhered. Okay, we should be good to go. All right, gonna go back to the machine. Next step. Next step is, that was our tack down. And you can see here that I'm on the orange, turquoise's placement, orange is tack down. I'm going to go through that whole orange. And now it's the placement for my cuffs. I'm going to leave my white in. Whoop. Carriage is going to move. And let's go ahead and hit start. And now this is the placement for my cuffs, and I'm going to do this the traditional way. So although I have those little pieces already pre-cut for me, I'm going to go ahead and lay down this whole piece. So there's my placement. And then we're going to lay this down, and we're going to let it do the tack down. And we'll just lay it down just like that. Here's my tack down, and then I'm going to trim. So if you haven't cut out your pieces with a cutting machine, then you can just go ahead and just do it this way. We're going to trim the fabric close to the stitch line. And then we're going to do all the decorative stitching, and we are almost done. Let's go ahead and trim this up. I'm using my my Fermori double curve scissors. You want to trim close to the stitch line. I gotta be honest, this is the first time I've stitched with my applique pieces pre-cut. I never do that. I just always just do this. I always just place it. I know some people that don't do, they cut all of their appliques with their cutting machine. And I can see that saving you time, easier on the hands. I don't know, I just like doing it like this. I like cutting my own pieces. I like doing the tack down. All right, our cuffs are on. Next step, we're going to do some of that decorative stitching. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the mitten detail, and that is in white. So just go ahead and hit start and let it stitch out the decorative stitching on the mittens. And then the next color is going to be your dark blue. right, now you're going to put in your navy blue or your darker blue, and it's going to stitch out the snowflakes. I am using Marlin. I think this was the blue. We got this in the Capuchere thread set. If you hear the bell ringing, that's Momo telling me he wants to go outside. Then you're going to stitch the mitten satin outline, whatever color you want. But I'm going to be using Tidewater for the mitten outline, and I'm going to be using this mint. What is this one? Magic Mint for the cuff outline. All right, I'm going to put in Tidewater. This is going to do the outline of the mittens. last color we're going to stitch out is going to be the outline of the mittens. So I'm going to go ahead and put that magic mint in. It's so pretty. I want to say Glide has, and I know other brands have the same thing, but they have at least 3 different mints. There's like magic mint, mint julep. I think there's another one too. I just never knew there were so many mints. But I didn't realize there were so many whites either. I mean, OESD has Ghost White, White, Paper White. Go ahead and stitch out these cuffs. That's going to be 3 more minutes. Heat up your iron because we're going to go ahead and press this next. And you want to get your rotating mat and your 6.5 by 6.5 pop ruler. And we are done with our embroidery. Let's go ahead and slide that off. We're going to take this and press it out, and then we will trim it up. All right, I am going to go ahead and take this out of the hoop. We're going to press it, so I'm going to remove that tape too. And I'm just going to press it face down. And I'm just going to leave the, we're going to leave the stabilizer on the back. Let's see if they wanted you to trim it away, tear away any wash away. Actually, this is your wash away topping. So remove the project from the hoop, remove all tape, tear away any wash away tape topping. Oh, wash away topping from the top. Okay, let's get him off. Because it's actually, you have shape flex, so it's not wash away. Or I'm sorry, it's a no-show mesh. So we're going to remove that. Tape the scarf towards the center. Square the block up. So we can put him in towards the center. There's his cute little eyes. There's more tape here. Let's get that off. So we got all our wash away off. I'm going to go ahead and spray this from the back. Nothing on here is really directional, so you don't have to worry about it. And I usually like to press one direction, and then I'll go the other direction. Okay, we're going to tape this out of the way just like that. Let's get our rotating mat, our pop ruler. We're going to go ahead and lay it down and kind of get it as even as possible. Like right here, I'm about 1 inch away, but here I'm 1.25 inches. I'm going to scoot it down the tiniest bit. This is 3/4 of an inch. This is, I'm going to scoot it over a little bit, and that looks pretty good to me. And let's go ahead and trim it. So you're going to grab your rotary cutter, go ahead and push in here and all the way up. Hold the whole thing, rotate your next cut, push in, make sure your hands are where the blade is going to be, meaning not in front of it, but if you're cutting right here, you can walk your hand up as you go, or you can just put your hand on the entire side. What you don't want to do is leave your hand here and then cut. You're going to push the pop ruler to the side, and you're not going to get a good cut. Alongside. Put your hand alongside where the blade is going to cut. And did we do the whole thing? We did. There we go. The pop rulers are great. If you are a Kimberbell fan and you're going to be doing a lot of Kimberbell, and even if you're not going to do a lot of Kimberbell, you got to have them, because these are the sizes that they have you cut them to. It just makes it easy and convenient. And here's our little Stay Cozy mitten, and that is ready to go. So next thing we're going to do, this is all done. The embroidery's all done. We are going to convert our sewing machine, if you have it, or if you want to use your other sewing machine. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sew the pieces on here. Those two 6.5 by 6.5, we're going to sew them on this side. If it doesn't come out perfect, that's okay. So we're going to sew these on first, and then we will go ahead and we'll sew these on. Let's do that first. I'm going to grab some Wonder Clips. You can pin if you want. For me, pins are heat-seeking, fingertip penetrating notions that I really don't like that much. So I'm going to go ahead and just put these on like this, and we'll go ahead and clip these. And if it's a little high or a little low, you're okay. And we are going to be doing a 1/4 inch seam. Let's make sure we're matched up. Okay, let's clip the other side. 6.5. And just pick a neutral color, and let's sew these two sides on. Let's go to the machine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let's go to sewing. So I'm going to hit my home button. Let's go sewing. And I'm going to do 103, which is a straight center stitch. Excuse me. I'm going to use my walking foot with my 1/4 inch sole. This is how easy it is to put them on. I'm going to get my screwdriver, If you don't have one of these, I'd highly recommend it. Depends on your machine. I don't know if they work with other brands, but they're going to work with the Baby Lock and the Brothers. They probably would work with other brands. I just haven't tried them on there before. What I love about this is there's screwdrivers in there. It's a circle, so when you put it over the screw, it doesn't fall off. So you can be reckless with your screw driving. And plug in your walking foot. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put it over the screw. You should always hand tighten and then take your screwdriver and tighten it a little bit more. You should not be cranking it down. Just another quarter of a turn. That's all you need, but it just should not be loose enough for you to undo by hand. And there's my flange right here. We're going to grab our little pillow and let's sew on those sides. I'm just set to a 2.5 stitch length. I'm going to take this off. Sometimes it will want to push the fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew a little bit in and then I'll back stitch and then I'll sew forward. Oh look, I didn't even change my thread. So I have that mint green and white. That's totally fine. Holy cow. The afternoon sun is streaming into my eyes right now. I get the late afternoon sun in here in my sewing room. I just take my time when I'm sewing this kind of stuff. No need to rush it. You can back stitch on the end if you want. And let's go ahead and do this side. I'm gonna just take that out, make sure this is matched up. I'm gonna sew forward first a little bit and then back stitch and forward stitch. With your digital dual feed foot, you shouldn't do a ton of back stitching, but just a couple of stitches to lock your stitch is fine. And make sure your iron is hot because we are going to press this and we are ready to press. I make such a big mess so fast. That is my other superpower. Losing things, hooping things, and making a mess. All right, I'm going to move this. Best rotating mat ever. And your instructions are going to say to, using a press cloth, press the seams towards the border. So we're going to take these and press them towards the border. First, we'll set the seam. Set it. And you can press it on both sides, but I'm just going to press from this side. And then we are going to press towards the border like that. Using a press cloth. Oh my goodness, can you believe I had put that away? Press towards your border. I'm going to do the same on this side. All right, now we're going to do the same thing with your 8.5 inch. And if it's not totally perfect, it's okay. It's just a little pillow. We're going to be sewing the front to the back. So I'm going to grab my 8.5 inch. I'm going to lay that down, and I am going to use my clips again. I love clips. Clips love me. So this is a little bit longer. That's okay. We can trim it down. Let's flip it. Same thing. If you undersew a little bit or oversew a little bit, it is okay. It's going to be gorgeous, ladies. It's a pillow. You're going to stuff it. All right, let's go ahead and stitch it down, 1/4 inch, and then we're going to do the back pieces. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start in a little bit and then back stitch. Alrighty. If you could see me sewing, I'm like hunched down so I can see underneath the camera. You push that to the edge. I think I did a video the other day and they burst into my room and I yelled at them. I paused the video just in the nick of time because that is right when Patrick came bursting into the room. Oh, there's Momo. I cannot say no to Momo. Nobody in the house is allowed to say no to Momo. That's one of the rules. No saying no to Momo. I actually say no to Momo all the time because Momo wants to play all the time. Okay, make sure these are all lined up. And don't forget, it's a little mini pillow. I wish I had all the time in the world because I want to make this. I want to make this in a big size. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Set your seam. And then we're going to press our seam to the border, I think. Is that what it says here? Press the seam towards the border. So let's set it first. And it wasn't perfectly matched up here. I'm not worried about it. And there's a little overhang there. I'm not worried about it. We can trim that down. We're going to turn it over. I'm going to give it a little finger press. Let's grab my pressing sheet. And we're going to press it towards the border. Ladies, Patrick and I made bad choices today, and we called Momo's breeder, and we told him that Momo needs a sister. And so we're getting another puppy, and I know we're going to regret it, but Momo really does need one. He needs a sibling. That's why people have kids, right? They go, oh, they need a sibling. Well, that's what we told ourselves with Momo. So if we look like we're on the edge of disaster, that is going to be why. That's what's happening in the next coming months. I think I'm going to trim that a little bit. Just going to square it off. Let me get my handy dandy, wonderful rotating mat and my ruler. But this one is going to be so friendly. At least that's what I told the breeder. I was like, I really need a meet and greet personality. And so that's what we are looking for with this one. If you've met Momo before, he is not always meet and greet. Sometimes he's guard dog. Okay, here we go. Looking really, really cute. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab the two back pieces. So you have two back pieces that look like this. You are going to fold it over 1/4 inch and then another 1/4 inch, and we're going to top stitch. I usually just do this on my sewing machine and I never press it. If you feel like you need to press it, please go ahead and do that. I'm going to put this sole on right now. Let's go to the machine. I still have my magic mint in there, which will be great for top stitching. Although I have white in the bottom, and that's really what we're going to see. So let's change our sole out. These are all on sale for our Christmas sale. If you're watching it, if you're watching a timely, like when this is happening. So what I do is I literally will just go ahead and fold it over, and I'll fold it over again. Sometimes it gets caught, so you could use a leader, and that's just going to be a piece of fabric. Here, I'm digging out of my fabric bin. I'm just going to put this under just to get it going. Okay. That way it doesn't get all caught up, and it just works really nicely if you have a little leader. And I'm just going to fold. So right on the edge right there. There we go. And I'm sewing about 1/4 inch in. And I'm just going to fold it over about 1/4 inch and then another 1/4 inch. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, by all means press. But this is the back of the pillow, and it doesn't have to be completely perfect. You could use a hot ruler. When I do that, I give it a little shot of spray with my best press just so it stays. But look how perfect that is. Okay, I'm going to get my next piece and do the same thing. I'm going to fold it over about 1/4 inch and another 1/4. Same thing right here, 1/4 inch. You can backstitch if you want. You don't need to. I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. If you want to press it, you can, but you don't need to. I mean, look how cute it is, just the way it is, right? All right. When I did this for the first time, I have to admit I did it wrong. Because I just told myself, right side to right side. We don't need this little piece on here. Let me cut that off. Right side to right side. And then turn it inside out, right? No. I did this. I laid it down. I laid this down. I laid this down. And I sewed all the way around it and turned it right side out. And then I said, how am I supposed to put the batting on? So what I realized is what you're going to do is you are going to read the directions, place the back piece right side up over the wrong side of the project. So we're going to put this right side up over the wrong side of the project. So wrong side, right side up over the wrong side of the project, because we're going to sew 1/4 inch and then we're going to put our binding strip around that. Does that make sense? So it's going to look like this. You're going to sew it like this. So let's go ahead and clip everything in piece. Align the raw edges with the project and overlap the hemmed edges. Here we go. Align the raw edges with the project and overlap the hemmed edges. The upper back piece should overlap the lower. So here's my lower, here's my upper. Let's go ahead and clip everything down. And yes, we're clipping. Pins are so 1999. Wonder clips are where it's at. I'm just kidding. But I just feel like when you pin, but I do love, I have magic pins. I have the magic applique pins. Are they? No, patchwork. And I love those because they're really fine. So they go through the fabric easily. If you look at a pin like this, it's really, really thick. This is also a quilting pin, so they're thick. But when you do the fine pins, they slide through the fabric a little bit more. They slide through easier than the thick pins. Okay, let's go ahead and put that down. We're going to clip this. Clip, clip, clip. So I filmed the pillow being made the first time, and I decided it needs to be done again. I think that was the video that I made where the needle went through my finger, because I was showing you bad habits, and I thought, I cannot, this is not the video to show my ladies This is not acceptable, and so we are refilming right now. All right. Here we go. So this is all clipped down. This is what it should look like. Your right side should be out. The top should be over the bottom. And you should be seeing this as well. I'm going to just go ahead and sew this. And I'm going to sew to the velveteen. Because you can see it overlaps here a little bit. We could trim it if you want. Or I'm just going to sew around to the velveteen. And pin in place. Sew around the perimeter of the pillow using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Be sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end of the stitching and remove the pins as you go. Let's go to the machine and then we'll finally do our binding. I gotta tell you, it's been a productive weekend. There's some weekends where I show up at the store and I feel like a giant loser because I didn't get anything done. But this weekend, I was superwoman. I was like, project done, project done. Actually, I don't have anything quite done. Project halfway done. So maybe I shouldn't feel that great about myself because the projects are halfway done. Okay, we're going to go in. And if you start at the edge, that's fine too. Just because this is all going to be covered with our binding strip. All right, here we go. And my clip's getting stuck, so... Now this 1/4 inch seam allowance is going to get encased. And if you want, we can pivot right at the 1/4 inch. You're going to stitch right to this red line on your foot. Okay. And then flip. There we go. Oh my goodness. I threw my zigzag sole in with my Wonder clips. That's one of those things where I would do and I would never find it. Get buried at the bottom and I'd find it like a year later. Okay, you're watching the lines here on the top of your foot. When the edge of your fabric aligns with that bottom red line, you're going to turn and that should be a 1/4 inch. So I set up my foot. I have my dual feed foot right here, and I set this to be 1 stitch, so I can tap on it with my heel, and that way I don't overshoot, because I'm an overshooter for sure. Oops. And I might already be there. Oh, I kind of was already there. I'm going to go back a stitch. Just 1. There. Okay. But I love that 1 stitch. I set my other foot up, the small foot. I had it set up to cut, and I'm like, I am never going to use that to cut. So I set that to do foot up and down. So if I'm free motion quilting, because I heard that that's what Gail Cram does. And anything Gail Cram, she's an expert quilter. I want to do it too, because I want to be like Gail and be an expert quilter. I just want to be an expert at anything, ladies. Okay, I'm watching the end of my fabric. 1 stitch, another stitch. I think that's good. I'm going to turn. Perfect. Okay, and I'm going to back stitch this. And that's all going to get encased in my seam. Alrighty, we are ready to put together our, and that's it, you're done. Beautiful raw edges, right? That's in. Just kidding. We're going to be putting some binding on that. And if you need to trim this down a little, we can. This is going to be the envelope back. I'm going to grab my binding strips. Here are my 2 pieces. I'm going to pop this off. Let's put on a regular sole. I'd say probably 90% of the time, I just sew with my walking foot. I just love the stability. I love the belt. Okay, I am going to, Sage just got here, so we were just saying hello. So maybe if it's, I lost my train of thought, that's why. I'm going to grab one piece. I'm going to take the other piece, lay it down right side down on top. I like to make mine so they overlap the tiniest bit. I'm going to turn on my projector. So I just turned on my projector. Let's let it come on, and that way you don't have to completely eyeball it. There's my little line right there. And I'm just going to go ahead. I like to start with my needle down. I like to snug that little corner so I can see where it is. And then I'm just going to take my project stitch. Let's change the color. Maybe we could see something better. That's red. That is black. And that is, oh, I can see the yellow the best. So I'm going to leave it on yellow. Oops, I pulled that away. And let's go ahead and sew. And I'm going to focus on that line reaching this corner here. I'm just going to follow that. There we go. And perfect. And then we're off. Sorry about that. That's just the dog. Let's go ahead and we're going to press this. So I'm going to come over here. You're going to trim that end. Make sure your iron's nice and hot. That is Momo saying he wants to come in. Sage just got here, so he wants to say hi to Sage. All right, we're going to trim this just about 1/4 of an inch. Don't you love how professional my videos are, ladies? This is just how you see them at all the big online sewing places, with a dog barking in the background and husband and kids running through. We're the fancy shop. This is the Sage laughing in the background. Hang on. Okay, let's go ahead and press that seam open. We're going to take all of our binding strip and we are going to fold it in half and press it. If you really want it to stay, you could spray it with some Best Press. But it's just a little pillow. Do we really need it that fancy? I know some of you are completely creatures of habit. I really am creature of poor habits. No, I'm just kidding. I have some really good habits. I have some poor habits too. Like sticking my finger under the needle, which actually I don't really do that. And I've never had my finger, had a needle through the finger until last week. But that teaches you, right? To be more careful. That you're not a sewing god, that you're only human. Are you so excited to make this? Or, hopefully you're making it with me. Alrighty. I'm just gonna, last thing I want to do is go to the trouble of doing this whole thing and have it not big enough, but it is perfect. Let's go ahead and stitch it on. I'm one of those people, I like to start here on the right hand side. I'm also going to trim that little bit of extra that's hanging over. Let's trim that away too. That's worth the effort. Ruler, where are you? Here you are. Okay, let's just trim that. And then it's going to be completely gorgeous. Okay. Look at this mess. Who did this? Okay, it was me. Let's go ahead. I'm going to start over here, and I'll usually leave about 6 inches so that I can do my join. And I'm going to sew it to my back side and then flip it around to my front. But you can do it any way you want. I just want you to pick the technique that you love the most. I'm going to come over here to my machine. It's all about what makes you happy, ladies. That's what this sewing thing's all about. And I don't need my projected stitch. I know it makes a strobe, so I'm going to get rid of that. But I use that all the time. And if you haven't been using it, I want you to challenge yourself and go, I'm going to use a new feature on my machine we won't even push you, every month. Okay, I'm going to put my 1/4 inch back on, but I'm going to take my, where did I put my 1/4 inch? This is how I display my sewing skills to you. Okay, I'm going to take my needle because I want it to encase that 1/4 inch seam right here. And we have a lot of fabric here to wrap around and wrap over and to the other side. I'm going to take my needle drop and I'm going to move it over to the left. So I'm just going to click it maybe 3 times or something like that. Here's your LR shift. Going up is going to move your needle to the right. We don't want that. Going down is going to move the needle to the left. So I'm going to go there. 2.7. Let's go one more. And that should be good. That should encase everything and make it absolutely gorgeous. That's what we want, right? That'll let me do my little turn-a-roo. And if you want to, you can go ahead and mark where you're going to stop and do your corner. Mine's going to be right here. That's my 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go kind of like that. Do you like how nice that line is? This is perfection, ladies. And so right down to that corner and off. Let's cut. I'm going to fold this back. So this is a straight line, so fold it back so it's a 45 degree. Fold it back this way so it's a 90 degree. And turn your fabric. Counterclockwise. Go ahead and sew on again. We're going to do the same thing to the next corner. And use your favorite technique. There's more than one way. I hate this saying, but I don't know why I use it so much. It's more than one way to skin a cat. Not horrible. Okay. So right here, so we're going to go right about like that. Fold it back this way so you have a straight line here. And then we're going to fold it back over to make a nice corner and turn. All right. Same thing, this corner. I should have cut off those dog ears, but I didn't. Oop, right here. Do you like the precision with which I sew? It depends. Sometimes I'm a wing it kind of girl. Whoops, that is way too low. I'm going to rip that out. That's okay. There we go. I think I went, yeah. And it's okay to have to do stuff twice. There we go. Fold it back. Fold it over. We have one more corner to do. Well, we have this corner. And then one more corner on top of that. And then we're going to do our join. This is a friction pen, so I can get rid of any marks I need to. Okay, to the right and to the left. Oh, shoot. I wasn't even paying attention to that. Sorry. Okay, let me fix that. I was kind of bending this out of the way before I should have. But we'll just leave it just like that. All right, what I like to do here is I like to cut off a piece of this. And lay it down this way. And that's how I know how long to cut my fabric. I'm going to lay it down like this. This gets laid down here. I usually pull it a little bit just to make it nice and snug. And I'm going to cut right across that line. I like it to be snug, so I might undercut it like 1/8 of an inch or something. There we go. All right, let's get these out of the way. This should be perfect. I might take out a couple of stitches here. Let me go ahead and remove those because you need some room to sew it together. I'm going to take this and fold it together with some Wonder Clips, and that'll give me some room to work with these side pieces, with your binding pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this. Let's clip it with something smaller so I don't have that big tail sticking out. And I'm going to lay this down so it is right side to right side. Right side of this to right side of this. I'm going to take out another stitch here. You just need the room. Okay, right side of this to the right side of this. And then we are going to sew from here to here. Don't do it from that corner down. You want to sew it the opposite way. I'm going to grab my big old pins. And, you know, you may have a way that you like to do this. Do it that way. I just saw this on a video. Nikki Brazel posted it. And I was like, I love that. And it's easy for me to remember. And so this is what I do. And I prefer to do it like this because I like it to be kind of finished looking. Let me pop off this sole. We're going to put the regular zigzag sole back on. All right. I am going to sew from this like little blue corner all the way down to this corner right here. You don't have a lot of room, so just work with it. Just make it happen. Remember, you are the boss. That's what I remind myself all the time. My project is not the boss. I'm going to take my stitch length down to 1.82 because that's what I like to piece at. I'm going to go all the way this corner. That blue line kind of takes me there. Here we go. Can you see? You're taking your chances sewing through quilting pins. They're thicker. Patchwork pins, I just sew right over them. But your quilting pins, you might want to pull those as you go. Or just go slow. So if the tip hits your pin, it'll come down to one side or the other. My hand's getting in the way and making it not focus. There we go. Let's cut it. And grab my scissors. We're going to trim that up. And I'll just finger press. So I'm going to cut right along the red part of the line. About 1/4 of an inch. Give or take. I'm going to take this clip out. I'm going to finger press this seam flat. Could take it to your machine if you want, but that's for fancy people. I love fingernail pressing. That's what, doesn't sound as good as finger pressing. Okay. And now I'm just going to fold this over. And and look, it's perfect. Could it be more perfect? Probably, but that's pretty perfect. Slide that off. I'm still at a LR shift of 2.5. We're ready to sew this down. You can back stitch if you want a little bit. And pull this nice and taut. What you don't want is like saggy binding. All right, we're ready to fold over and clip. Is that adorable or what? So we're gonna go ahead and fold over and go ahead and clip it. And if you want to press it, you can. I'm just pulling it over to the front. I'm gonna make this corner nice and sharp. Just like that. I'm gonna fold it back. You can imagine when I did it the first time and I sewed it front to back and then turned it inside out and I stared at it and went, what? How am I supposed to finish this? Don't assume, right? When you're sewing, actually read the directions or let me make all the mistakes for you, ladies. And you know, you can hand stitch this if you want. But it's just a little cutie patootie Kimberbell pillow. How much time do you want to put into it? I like those corners to look good though. And then you're just going to pop your 8x8 pillow in here. We sell the Kimberbell ones, but lately I've been buying, and I don't even know who makes them, but we have some 8x8 pillows in the store. They're $7.99. They're a good buy, and they fit and look perfect in this. And if you haven't gotten a kit yet, you can still get them at the store. The kits are, I think the kits are $12.99. So what a deal. Then you don't have to go out and buy all the different embellishments. You can just get the kit and be done with it. Who doesn't love a kit? All right, I'm ready to stitch this down. I still have my mint, is it mint, magic mint. And I think I'm just going to stitch with that because it's pretty. Alrighty, and I'm going to take this sole off. I'm going to put my regular zigzag sole on. If I can find it. Oh, nope. Where's my open toe? Here it is. Right where it was supposed to be. All right, I'm going to start. I'm a left side kind of girl. Or I'm sorry, a right side kind of girl. Let's go ahead and start over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch. And I like to sew from the front because then it looks perfect. And the back might not be totally perfect, but who's looking? Okay. Turn it. This is where a stiletto could come in handy, right? Just something nice and pointy that you could put in striking distance of the needle. Like right here, where you like push it and hold it. Okay, and then this. I have my auto pivot on, which is so nice because it automatically lifts the foot every time my foot comes off the foot control. I don't think I could live without that feature anymore. It's kind of like heated seats. Once you have it, you gotta have it. Little back stitch right there. And we are done. You're just going to go ahead and stuff it with your pillow. Let's tie the little penguin's tie or his scarf, and then we can trim it down a little bit. Oh, look at this. I think this is because I ironed with that pressing sheet on. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a tie, and I'm going to tie it in a knot so it stays. And then I'll just go ahead and twist it. And let's give it a little bit of a clip. When you clip it, it looks a lot cuter if you just do it at an angle. Oh, look, he's sticking straight up. That doesn't look good. There we go. That looks a little bit better. And you are ready to stuff it with your pillow. Looks adorable. This is your Stay Cozy Bench Buddy pillow. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you watch all 3 of those demos and then just fill out your survey information. I'll be sending out those designs. It's going to take us just a little while to put everything together and just check off everyone's name and make sure you have all 3 of the surveys done. And